Hi, this is Morgan Doremus with RT Book Reviews, and I am in Alabama today with the HOD, that's Heart of Dixie, local RWA chapter, and I'm speaking to the very elusive Linda Howard. Hi.
Hi, I'm glad you caught me. You make me sound like a possum in a trap.
You are. You have to admit you are rather elusive. That you don't have a website just for personal reasons. That you've decided that just focus on your writing and do that. So it's not often that we get to see you on camera.
No, I don't do like personal. What do you call
Promotion?
it? Promotion. I don't. I'm not geared that way. I'm such a not a recluse. And
I've heard stories. I've been with the ladies here at HOD. No. I've heard stories. I've heard about tiaras and snow parties where you have a big snow machine and you invite everyone over. So I wouldn't call that reclusive at all.
No, it's different. It's like your own little circle where you're perfectly comfortable. But the snow machine, I mean, we don't get that much snow in Alabama. It gets cold enough, but we don't get the moisture in. So I thought, my dogs need to play in snow. So we bought a snow machine and we built a hill, and my husband stays up all night making snow and moving the snow machine back and forth. And then the dogs play in the snow, and all of the neighborhood kids, I mean, we have kids in our yard that we have no clue who they belong to. And they just spend all day sledding up and down and just having a ball, and we roast marshmallows and bring out the hot chocolate,
and when you're not sledding here in Alabama, you are a writer, of course, and you always hear those things like write what you know and all of this, and I'm like, so this is what I know about you. I know that you run from killers a lot. I know that you are intimately involved with vampires, and what else? And I know that your series books, so rich, millionaires who like to globetrot. I guess is that what we should get from your books? Is that who you are?
I think there would be a real disconnect if you saw me at home in my jeans, mud boots, a flannel shirt, and I'm chasing cows.
The cows are what makes it perfect.
The cows. I have mostly, I won't say a love-hate relationship with my husband's cows, because it's mostly hate on my part.
Let's talk more about your writing, because I know
books.
I was going to say I know our viewers, they're like, you're sitting next to Linda Howard, literally one of the most award-winning, most celebrated, romance authors,
And I'm kind of a walking disaster area. So
well, you're a walking disaster area that wrote Mr. Perfect. So you can pretty much do whatever you want for the rest of your life, and you're still going to be the woman who wrote Mr. Perfect. And of course, I'm talking about the book.
I laughed my head off. I could hear them actually the whole book started, I was in my kitchen. I was cooking supper, and I was just walking around, and these voices started, like real schizophrenics do.
The voice told me to do it. I didn't want to create these characters.
These voices and they were all individual voices, and the whole conversation that was in the bar where they were outlining, I mean, it played out while I was cooking. I thought, wow, this is kind of funny. I was just laughing my head off at nothing. Gary thought I'd really flipped out that time.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, when you read, it's really interesting because some of your books are really funny. Some of your books, literally, you will have to stop reading and put it down and take a few minutes to absorb. And you've got other books where they go exactly the opposite, where they're really serious, really you're tensed up and you're like this and you're still reading, and it's like it's almost like there's different authors that live inside of you.
No, there's different characters. See, I'm not writing about me. I'm writing about these people that I know. And when I meet them, I may not know anything about them. It may take me a while even to find out what their first names are. Usually I will know what they look like. And then each time I meet them in my head, I find out more and more about them, and then they start telling me their story. And then that's what happens. So it's not me, it's them.
You're just going to blame it all on them.
I'm the medium. Yeah, I'm not the cause of it, no. not at all.
So let's talk about, during the last couple of years, you've really focused a lot more on the suspense, the romantic suspense aspects. Mm-hmm. Is that fair to say that's...
Well, no, it's not that I have focused on it. Those are the characters that have come to me.
So you really are at the mercy of
Completely.
these voices.
100%. I could not plot my way out of a wet paper bag.
I beg to differ. I love your plotting. I think your plotting...
I don't do it. I swear to, I do not do it.
It's one of the things that we love most about you.
I cannot write a synopsis because I have no idea what's going to happen. Now, when I was writing for Pocket, they really wanted a synopsis, or maybe it was Pocket, I'm not sure. It could have been Silhouette, but they just really wanted a synopsis. I said, all right, I'll make something up. I'm a fiction writer. I make something up. So I sent like 2 paragraphs. And at the bottom of it, because I'm honest, I said, the finished product may bear no resemblance to the above.
And they took it and loved it.
Yeah. But I don't know. I can't plot. But then I don't lock myself into something. I don't come up and say, well, this is what they're going to do, and this is what they're going to do, and this is what they're going to do. So I'm always open to whatever they throw at me.
So when there is a mystery or there is a suspense aspect, you might not necessarily know who did it, and you let that happen?
Well, why not? But usually I'll know, like, maybe the beginning and kind of a high spot and have a target way out there where I think I want where it's going to go, and the rest of it I find out the way y'all do as I go along.
This makes my next couple of questions a little awkward because I definitely wanted to ask you for aspiring authors out there. Like, a lot of people look at your career and say, I want to be there. That's where I want to be. I want to have, the accolades. I want to have the fans. Where do I go back? What do I say to these people?
Okay, the good news is everybody has a different process. My process is not the only one that works. Look at Nora Roberts. Hello.
Yeah.
We don't write the same. My friend Beverly Barton, who died in April, was kind of a blend. I'm a total pantster. I write by the seat of my pants. I have no clue what I'm going to do next, what's going to happen next. I just let the characters go. And she was kind of a blend of a pantster and a plotter. And then, Stephanie Jones, who you met, who put together this workshop, is a total plotter. And everybody's got their own process, and you just have to find out what works for you and then go with it.
So I also remember I did a little bit of research on you, and I found out 20 years worth of writing before you actually pubbed that first book. So during those 20 years, were you thinking of what works best for you? Like, what was that time spent doing?
Well, I wrote my first book when I was 9 years old, and I knew so little about it, it wasn't even broken into chapters. It was handwritten, both sides of the page, from one edge of the paper to the other, because I hate blank paper. And I just filled it with tiny little cramped handwriting. And all I was doing was writing characters. There was no real plot. I was writing characters. And as I got older, it evolved, and you learn by doing. And I never even thought about being published, ever.
So you did it as a hobby. It was just for you.
I did it because I loved it. And then all of a sudden, when I was, I think about 28, maybe 29, it was like somebody flipped a switch. And I got up one morning and I thought, all right, I've practiced for 20 years. Let's see if I'm good enough. So I wrote a manuscript and I sent it to Leslie Wanger at Silhouette, and she bought it, and there you go.
And now we're how many dozens of books later?
I have no idea.
You don't count. I would count if I were you, and I would wear it on a name tag. So when I went into the grocery store, people would be like, "Look at me! Look at all my best-selling books." But you like I said, you don't do a lot of the self-promotion. You're very happy to just write and just be.
Okay, I'm lucky in that when I started, the internet didn't exist.
Yeah.
There was not all of this self-promotion. And I'm an introvert. That does not mean I'm shy. It means that crowds suck the energy out of me. I mean, do I come across as shy?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
I'm not shy. But
I'm just glad you didn't wear your tiara today.
well, did anyone mention that the tiara was paired with a 3-foot sword? Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, now
Yeah.
that kind of nails me. That right there. And I'm perfectly comfortable with. Maybe I was a warrior in a previous life, a warrior queen. Who knows?
Well, then I'm going to claim to be a warrior queen too. Me too.
And I love shoes. And my sword had rhinestones on it, so it was pretty.
And so an
It was a
introvert,
real
but
sword.
not shy.
Yeah, I'm not shy.
Yeah.
I may have been when I was younger, but I'm not now. I spent too many years working at a trucking company to be shy.
When were you able to give up your day job and just write full time?
1986.
So it wasn't too much longer after you were published that you were able to do it.
It was almost, it was 5.5 years after I sold my first book.
Does it ever get old? Does turning in a book and like seeing it on the shelves ever get old?
The way I have kept my sanity is by not paying attention to it. I focus almost completely on the writing, on the story. After I'm through with it, I'm not one who goes to Amazon and reads the reviews. I keep my sanity by keeping my life.
So I want to talk about your next project. Now, I know it's going to be co-authored. We've had a book with you and Linda Whitestead Jones, and that was Bloodborne, which was a paranormal.
Yes.
But I hear you're going a little bit different for this next one. Can you talk about it?
Yes, it's set in Wyoming. It's about a rancher and a woman on the run. And it's kind of a throwback to the old romances.
Western?
Yeah,
Like-
the old romances.
I love that.
Almost like Mackenzie's Mountain.
Wow. I think a lot of people out there they're kind of waiting for what's coming next, and it looks
And-
like we're going to get a revival.
Well, we were thinking it was going to be kind of suspensey, and then we got into it, and all of these other elements are coming in, and we're laughing ourselves silly. So we're pretty sure that it's losing some of the suspense.
Well, talk to me a little bit about the process, because I mean, writing alone and then writing with another author, especially one as well established as Linda, that's got to be a real difference in the way you put together a story.
Okay, the problem is we are both pantsters, so we don't know what's going to happen next, which is really hard when we're trying to coordinate. And then that means she's a really fast writer, and I'm not. She does one really fast version, and then she comes back in, and that's when she starts it.
Plays with it a little.
And I edit as I go. I do one version. When I print it out, it's gone. It's ready. So we're trying to mesh it. If she races ahead and tells the story, well, then as far as I'm concerned, the story's told, and I don't need to do anything. So she
And then
can't-
she gets really mad. Wait a second,
Yeah.
you got to half this is yours.
So she can't race ahead. She has to stay we have to stay pretty much right there. So she'll send me what she's done. I'll go into it, and I'll layer stuff in, and I'll send it back to her, and she'll say, well, this, and she does this, and she sends it back to me, and by the time we're through with it, we are hard put for one of us to pick out a sentence that we know for sure we wrote.
A true collaboration.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, talk to me about some characters. We know a little bit about the plot because we know it's kind of that old school Western, but tell me what about the characters, the hero and heroine, like really drew you into the story?
Well, we didn't really know him, and I mean, the idea just popped so fast, and his name is Zeke, and he's a man. He's a guy's guy. Her name is Carlin, Carlin, so it's kind of an unusual name, and oh, she is such a smart ass.
Well, we don't know where she gets that from.
LJ.
So it's all Linda's fault, right?
Yeah, it's Linda Jones' fault. It's not mine. Yeah, you just can't turn your back on her. She's quiet, but she sneaks in all this stuff.
Oh, that sounds, I love the characters that when you start reading and you want to be their friends. You know what I mean? Like you read it and you're like, I could hang with her. We could go out to lunch together.
I can say, well, the Blair books, To Die For and Drop Dead Gorgeous, people either hated Blair or they loved her. But I could hear that voice so plainly in my head. I am sure she is alive somewhere on this earth no, she's in North Carolina. She's still there. And every so often she will say something. Never enough for another book, but every so often she will say something. I've veered way off subject here, haven't I?
That's okay. I love hearing about your characters.
One morning I was blow drying my hair, and just out of the blue she said, "Everybody knows that blondes with beautiful shoes do not blow up airplanes." So evidently she was having some trouble at an airport somewhere.
Well, she wanted to get through security faster, obviously. She had places to go.
Whatever. And I dropped my blow dryer because I literally hear her saying it.
Well, I love that your characters are so real to you because I think a lot of your readers feel the same way. Like these characters become
Then it's
real.
coming through. They're real to me. And when I'm writing, if I'm really deeply, not doing anything else, a lot of times they are more real to me than the people around me. And when I'm through with the book, I have a transition period to get back to real life, which is probably a good thing then that I have cows and llamas and dogs and all that, because that can pull you back into real life in a hurry.
Well, I don't want to be pulled back into real life if it means having to leave behind some of your great characters. And I know I'm looking forward to your next book. Can you tell me when you Inland expect to publish it?
We're going to try to get it turned in by November the 1st. If Ballantine stays with the schedule that they had laid out for the sequel to Bloodborne, it will come out maybe in the spring.
I'm waiting.
But
I'm waiting.
We
Turn it in
don't know.
faster.
We don't know.